Hey guys, it's Allison. So today's video is going to be the mid-year book tag, the mid-year wrap-up kind of video. I saw this video from Sarah Caroli and I'm like, why not do this video? I have read in total 20 books the past 6 months. That's not that good, but great for me because when I started reading from August to December of last year, I read 30 books. So I'm almost to 30 books and my goal is to read 60 books in the year, so it's not that bad in my opinion. So I'm gonna get straight into the video, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, comment down below any videos you want me to do next, subscribe down below if you're new to my channel, turn on post notifications to get an update every time I post a new video, and let's get started. So the first one is the best book you've read so far in 2023, and I have multiple books that I think is the best that I've read so far, but I chose one out of all of them. They're gonna come later in the video because I'm gonna explain to you why they're one of my favorite books as well. So I chose one for this one, and this is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. As you can see, I tabbed this book, and if you guys seen the past couple book videos that I've made, I've been talking about this book and I say the same thing each and every time. This book was amazing. I rated this obviously a 5 stars, and let me tell you, this had everything. So this is a football romance and the characters are in college, and a lot of things happen in this book that is like super crazy. I love the characters in the book. It was very captivating. Like, I just wanted to keep reading more and more and more. And let me tell you, when you get almost to the end, when you think it was about to end, it keeps going. Like, something happens and the story keeps going, and it's just the craziest thing. I don't know, I really love this book. Like I said, the characters are amazing, the storyline is amazing. Even though this is one of the biggest books that I have read so far, I would recommend this to anyone, but this had like 530 pages. On the book it says, "They say first loves last forever. I hope they're wrong." So, amazing book. So the next one is the best sequel you've read so far in 2023, and I chose 2 series. So the first series is the Inheritance Game series. I read this back in January, and this is one of the only series I've read, so I had to choose these, but I did rate these books 4.5 stars out of 5, or like a 5-star read, so I definitely did enjoy them. They kept me on my toes. This is a fast-paced read. There were a lot of riddles that I was trying to figure out going along with the book, so it made me like keep reading. I was like turning the pages. I was like, what is going to happen? Like, each one of these books had like a different vibe to them, I feel like. Definitely the characters in these books are one of my favorite characters. So if you guys have not read these books before, this is a like riddle kind of mystery kind of romance book, all intertwined. There's this girl that inherits all this money from this random guy she doesn't even know, and then she has to live in this mansion with the family members of this guy that passed away that gave her the money, and she's supposed to live there for like a couple months so she's able to inherit this money. She doesn't know why she is inheriting all this money. Throughout all these books there's like riddles and why she inherited the money. I'm not making any sense right now, but if you guys have not read these, I would definitely recommend to check these out. And the next sequel or series that I definitely enjoyed is just like a 2-parter. It's The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secrets. I rated these books, I believe, a 4 or 5 stars. I read these books, I'm not sure in what video, but I'll definitely link them up below when I find that out. But this is a mystery thriller, suspenseful psychological thriller, and these were definitely good. This was really good, and then I'm like, what could top this? And then I was like, can't be the same because then it'll be boring. And this was definitely a twist in the making. And this one says, from behind closed doors she sees everything. And this one says, the perfect home has one rule: don't look behind closed doors. This is a quick little mini series that you can enjoy if you like mystery thriller. It's basically about this housemaid, and she lives with this family, and then things happen. But then in the second book, like, there's a twist to it. Definitely one of the best thrillers or like mystery books that I've read this year. It's really hard to read a good thriller. I feel like you would know what happened in the book, or it's not a wow factor to you, you know? Next one is the new release you haven't read yet but want to, and I have picked up Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. She's the author of Every Summer After, and I really enjoyed that book. So when I found out that she was gonna come out with a new book this year, I was like, I'm definitely going to pick this up. but I've heard mixed reviews so far on this book. So I gotta read this book to see how I think about it. I'm going to read during the summer because I feel like it has like summer vibes to it. Next one is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I can't wait for 2 books. The first one is The Brothers Hawthorne, which is the 4th book to the Inheritance Games series, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I did not read any like synopsis to this book, but in my opinion I think it's gonna be a deeper dive into the brothers because it says The Brothers Hawthorne. I believe that's what it's gonna be about, but I'm not really sure. I can't wait to pick that book up. That book is coming out in August, I believe, at the end of August. And then the second book is If Only I Had Told Her, and this is the second book to If He Had Been With Me. And that book was a really quick read for me. I think I read that book in a day or like in a couple of hours, I believe. It was a really good book. I rated it maybe a 4 stars, and it was really cute, so I can't wait to read the second book because it's in Finn's point of view and not Autumn's point of view, because the first one was in Autumn's point of view. So I really can't wait for that second book. I completely forgot that book was coming out. I can't wait until that book comes out because that book has like such a beautiful cover. Yeah. So the next one is The Biggest Surprise. So the first one is, I've been talking about it for the past couple videos, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I did not want to pick this book up at all. It came out last year, I believe, and everybody was talking about it, how it was so good, that they really enjoyed it, and this and that. But I didn't want to pick it up because I felt like I just didn't know the synopsis of the book, so I never really picked it up. And I thought it was just gonna be like corny or cheesy, but I decided to pick this up one day, and then I was like, I'm going to read this. It was not even on my shelf for like 2 weeks, and I had picked it up for a video. I think it was my reading slump video, and oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite books. This was really cute and adorable, this book. This is about this girl. She loved movies, so she wanted to make everything like a movie. She liked this boy that came back into her life, and her neighbor, her frenemy, like helped her try to get with this boy, but it never seemed like to be the right moment for her and the other guy to get together. And then like slowly her and her neighbor started to fall in love with each other, but even though they like had like these little romantic things like since the beginning, they thought they hated each other, but in actuality they had this thing for each other. So yeah, this was really cute. I rated this book a 5 stars, so yeah, such an adorable book. This made me a fan of Lynn Painter, so I had to pick up her other book. Each and every time I film a video, my camera decides to die, so I always have to change my battery. So hopefully it's in the same angle. Sorry if it like moved a little. But like I was saying, the second book for The Biggest Surprise was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I finally picked up this book after the longest. Like, so many people have talked about it, how they raved about this book. So many people try to convince me on trying to get this book, and I finally picked it up. And I was like, let me give this a try. It took me 2 weeks to read this. I rated this a 5 stars. If you guys have been watching my book videos for a while, you guys know that I don't like fantasy. I was very hesitant on getting this book, and I actually just like picked it up and I started reading it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And I read it, like I said, in 2 weeks. This is definitely gonna get me into fantasy. Maybe not to other fantasies, but I'll definitely finish this series. These books are amazing as well. They look so nice. So if you guys don't like fantasy, I would definitely recommend to pick this book up, because I think this will definitely get you in the mood for a fantasy read. This took me a while to read, but let me tell you, it was worth it. And I think I just had to soak everything in, and it was not a very hard fantasy book to get into. It wasn't like these hard words or like a hard world to get into, I guess you can say. I don't know how to describe it, but this was definitely one of my faves and biggest surprises of this first half of the year. This is one of my favorite books. Can't wait for the second book to come in, because I feel like that's like everyone's favorite book. It's coming in today, so I can't wait to start it. I have so much to say, but so little to say at the same time because I'm speechless. The next one is the favorite new author, debut or new to you. So this author, so many people have been talking about her since like all her other books like Beach Read and Book Lovers and all that, and I have never read any of those books. Recently Emily Henry came out with Happy Place, And let me tell you, I'm so in love with this book. I gave this book 4 or 5 stars. I don't remember the rating, but this was definitely a book to read. I wish I read this during the summer, but I read this like a month ago, I believe. And this is definitely a good book. After I read this book, I'm definitely gonna pick up more books from this author. And definitely when I was reading this, it was definitely like relatable, and I liked this book because it was different from other romances. So if you don't know or you haven't read this book yet, this was about this couple that they were engaged and then they broke up, but none of their friends or family knew they were ever separated, and they were put into forced proximity with each other again. But this book was more than romance. It was about friendship and just relationships in general. There was definitely a character growth in everybody during this book, so I really enjoyed this book. I love the cover, even though I don't really like pink. It's very cute and way to read. Book lovers and beach read and all that jazz. The next one is Newest Fictional Crush. It is going to be from Say You Swear. Again, I'm bringing this book up again. It's Noah. I don't know what it is about him. If you ever read this book, you guys know that he had like a realistic point of view in the book. Basically, he was the type of guy to be realistic with situations. So when he was with Ariana, the main character in this book, and she was like very torn about things, he let her go because he was like, I'm not gonna be part of this if you don't want to really be with me, and I don't want to make your life more difficult because I know you like the other person more and stuff. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like other books, like the guys are more like oh, like fantasy, like that's like the perfect guy, but like he stuck true to himself. The word I could say is realistic. I'm gonna just keep saying realistic. If you guys read this book, you know what I mean. And I'm very surprised because he was a college student. Even though he was like a senior college student, like he was very realistic. It wasn't like he was like, oh no, I want you, I'm going to have you. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Honestly, I wasn't going to mention this character, but I kind of like when I was reading this, I was like, yes, do that. It was Tamlin in A Court of Thorns and Roses. He was very realistic too, in a way, his thoughts. He was in love with her, but as soon as it got dangerous and he knew it was gonna be dangerous, he sent her back home. He wasn't like, I'm gonna keep you here forever, like how the treaty was saying. Like, he was like, I'm gonna send you back home. And like, he was very realistic. Like, all the guys in that book, I feel like protected her in a way. And I really enjoyed that about the book because they weren't rough with her. They were like kind of like mean to her, but like not really. So I really enjoyed like the boys in this series, or this book specifically, since I haven't read all the series yet. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna put 2 questions combined because for both questions I picked the 2 same books. So it was a book that made you cry, and the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year is Our Secrets and Scars by Macy Myers. And can you see this cover? It's purple. It has like little letter things. Actually, I thought this was gonna be about adults. This book was about this girl. She went through something traumatic, so her therapist was like, you need someone to talk to other than me, kind of thing. You need like friends and all this stuff. So she decided to write into a pen pal prison system, and she ended up talking to this teenage boy that was in jail, and they started talking to each other. They like kind of like fell in love within these letters, and I love it because they have like their real writing, like they actually wrote, and it was like really cute. And at one point he gets out of jail, so then like stuff happens. Like, if you ever see this book or want to pick it up, I definitely recommend this book. I keep recommending books even though this is not a book recommendations video. Going back to the prompt of why it made me cry, I don't even remember, but I know this gave me all the feels and emotions when I read this book. So yeah. And then the other book I've mentioned like 20 million times already is Say You Swear. This has definitely made me cry at the end, like how the relationship was. Like I said in the beginning, there's a twist into the end, so like that made me kind of like sad. and stuff. This is definitely a beautiful cover as well. It just has like a football. The colors are just amazing, and it's a shiny cover. So yeah, I'm gonna just stop talking about this book because I've already talked about this book so much. I don't know how to explain myself sometimes. The next one is a book that made you happy. I chose 2 books and they're both from Lynn Painter. It's Better Than the Movies and The Love Wager. This is her YA book and this is her new adult romance, and they're both in the same yellow scheme. Both of them were fun. The banter was amazing with each other, like the banter with the relationships, and I don't know, they just gave me all the feels in both of these books because of how the couple was to each other. Like they were like frenemies, like I don't know. These books are obviously fast-paced reads, so these books definitely made me happy when I was reading them. I giggled, you know, I had all the feels with these books. So the last one is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I definitely have to read all these books, but definitely all my series. When you read a series, it's more fulfilling than reading one book and then just moving on, because you're like, dang, I actually read all these books. So the first series is the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. I picked this up actually last year and I haven't picked it up to read it. They're about Formula 1 race car drivers, and yeah, they just sounded so interesting, so I had to pick them up. I need to read the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, which everybody is raving about currently. I need to actually pick up the 4th book in the series, Reckless, that just came out, so I do have to pick that one up. My 2 Lucy Score books, the Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, and I believe they're coming out with a 3rd one this summer as well, or like in the fall. So I have to read these so I am able to read the 3rd one. I have the King of Wrath and King of Pride by Anna Huang. And then I have the Emily McIntyre Scarred, Wretched, Hooked, that series. I'm not sure what the series is called. And then I also have 4 books that I don't have the complete series of, which is Dreamland Billionaire series, so the fine print by Lauren Asher. I have the Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have the Deal by Elle Kennedy. I have the Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I have to get into all the series so I'm able to stack all the books of all the series, because I feel like it will be so satisfying at the end. And obviously all these books as well down here. These are mostly I have some romance, but then others are like the thrillers. So yeah, that is everything in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below if you got to the end of the video, so let me know the books that you can't wait to read, that it hasn't been out yet or has been on your bookshelf for the longest that you want to read. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.